Hello and welcome back to the Brighter Podcast. My name is Chelsea.
My name's BatSheva.
And my life is so much brighter thanks to BatSheva.
My life is so much brighter thanks to you, Chelsea.
We love to come on here and share stories, tools, techniques, our own life experience in hopes that it will make your day brighter. And along the way, it ends up making ours brighter as well. And today we have a really special topic for you, something that we're actually going to make a reoccurring theme. But before we get into that, let's arrive in the space like we like to. So if you are in a place where it's safe to close down the eyes or soften your gaze, we invite you to do that. Go ahead and let all the air out. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose. And exhale out the mouth. Take another deep breath in through the nose, filling up the belly, then the ribs, then the chest. And exhale out the mouth. One more breath in, deepest one, in through the nose. And on the exhale, let all the tension release from your body. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So today we are getting into pussy talk. And what a magical, just the word, which is where we're starting today. How does the word feel whenever you hear it? Whenever you say it? Are you even able to say it? This is something that BatSheva and I have been on a journey with since reading Mama Gena's book, A Reclamation. And we have both had multiple experiences witnessing others' comfort or discomfort with this word, and also our own evolution of being able to articulate, use this word as if it were any other word, and really feel into the power of this word in our own bodies. BatSheva, what would you say? Let's go back to like the beginning. Whenever we first read the book, whenever we first started calling our parts their name, how did that feel for you?
Let's go back and remember how uncomfortable I freaking was at that point because I loved and was excited and intrigued and titillated by the title of the book that you recommended, A Reclamation. And I loved the book. I loved her memoir. I bought it, but I also listened to her audiobook and her voice, Regina Thomas Howard, telling her own story. And it's like a memoir manifesto. It was so inspiring. And she's even older than I am by probably another decade. And I just felt like she's a fucking trailblazer. And if she is reclaiming the word for the female genitalia as I'm like, I'm going to give that a lot of thought because up until then, I was not comfortable saying the word. And I'm not as comfortable now as I hope to be in the future, honestly. But I'm way more than I was. And it's been 3 years since we met and I read that book almost. And I use it more and more. And I believe it's a great word for us to reclaim. It makes me just now remember when the gay rights movement in the 80s reclaimed fag and they reclaimed a bunch queer. That's the fucking perfect example. They reclaimed queer and something positive and loving and so I'm on the path to reclaiming. I'm on the path. But I believe I still have a ways to go. I feel like you're ahead of me here. Where do you feel that you fall on that spectrum?
Well, honestly, I think a lot of it is context and the environment that I'm in, and also my own internal fire, how much that internal Agni is blazing. how courageous, how comfortable I feel, if I feel empowered. And
Hang on. Should we back up and I would love for you to share the list with the listeners if you can articulate it, because I feel like you might be able to better than I can articulate it. Why? What's the purpose of reclaiming, like, why instead of like a billion other, words that could be used to describe?
yeah, so it all starts with the disconnection to ourselves. It all starts with shaming and really disconnecting women from their actual genitalia, because how powerful is this portal between our legs? I mean, every human life is coming through it traditionally. Now we have C-sections, but in the times in natural birth, that is where the baby is coming from. And so whenever we teach our children, when a lot of the teachers or the mentors that I have talk about the male genitalia, and are we teaching them what do we teach them that is called? Is there a million different names? Maybe some people do, but for the majority, everyone knows that it's a penis, and they know the different parts of it, and they know that they have a scrotum or balls, and they're very familiar with it, and they're encouraged to touch it in most places. Like, it's not outside of the norm if you see a man readjusting himself or touching himself. It's kind of like widely accepted, whereas a lot of the times it is not for women. It's like, oh, that is a dark, secret place. Don't go down there. Don't venture there. Do not discover that. Stay away from it. It is dangerous. And so, really coming back to it is reuniting women with their own bodies. That this is what it's called. Because if you don't even know what something is called, like if you don't know what your hand is called, if it's not a hand and you're trying to explain somebody, put that in my hand. I mean, how do you get there?
And I was brought up thinking, I think we were all in my generation and maybe yours too, brought up thinking, well, if you're going to use the quote unquote clinical term or the biological term, there's penis for a man and there's vagina for a woman. And then Mama Gena blew that all up for me.
Right, because there is a vagina, a vaginal canal that connects the cervix to the vulva. The vulva is the technical correct word for the outer area of the, and including the lips and the clitoris and all of it. But we don't teach that. We just call it all one thing, vagina, but it is so much more. Yeah, that's not what it is. So, teaching our children, teaching ourselves, teaching our daughters, teaching our sisters, our mothers, our friends, all of our women, all of our friends and family and loved ones that have these parts, the right, correct name for them, so that they can be reunited with them. And, whenever you meet someone and you meet them by name, if you call them the wrong name several times, there's a good chance that that relationship's not really going too far. I mean, you're not getting super deep if you can't even remember their name. Maybe they'll get offended. Maybe they'll just be like, oh, they don't think I'm important enough to remember. Maybe, and the list goes on of what could be. But to me, it's just the start of a relationship. And that starts with knowing what the name of it is and where it is, and cultivating this intimate bond together. And so, yeah, that's part of it, is just we need to know what our body parts are called. We know what our foot is called. We know what our elbow is called. We know what our hands are called. We should know what our genitals are called. They are our most intimate part. So that's, to me, kind of where it all begins, is to be reunited with our bodies so that we can deepen this relationship with them, so that we can hear them, we can listen to them, because there is this so much wisdom and wiseness and like inner guidance that comes from our bodies. And so being able to hear them. Did that answer it?
Yeah, I keep thinking like, so how do we educate younger girls about what to call their body? Like, when do we introduce the word? When is that
So
appropriate? Like you
according
said,
to
yeah,
my teachers and mentors, it is once they're older teens.
yeah.
Once you're having more conversations, little girls, vulva. And
Teach them
then
about
once
their
they
body
become,
part, the actual name,
yeah,
the vaginal
yeah,
canal. And then when they're
yeah,
teens, older teens, beginning,
right.
November.
Whenever we're starting to do more sex education, then that's really, I think, at least what is described once that we're in that place, or once they're even young women. And that word, it's like, I feel like it's so powerful.
Well, that's why a lot of
Um,
female rappers have claimed it, and it is powerful. And I know my daughter's generation, at least American, girls that I'm aware of, and I, sort of listen in, fly on the wall, they're much more comfortable using the word. I mean, maybe I don't know if both of my daughters are, but I've definitely, I believe that they are much more comfortable, which I'm happy about, actually.
Yeah, I think it's just the generational of shaming. I mean, I just had this conversation with a family member who was telling our younger ch- female child to call it cookies. I'm like, no, they're not the cookies. That's not what we're calling it. We're naming it by its name. It's a vulva. There we go.
That's so powerful. Wow.
Yeah. So that's really what it's about to me. And for the people, the teachers that I'm following, is really reclaiming and knowing so that you can have that relationship, so that you can be in tune with your body.
And I was so not in tune with my body as a child, and I just want that for all the girls to follow and all women everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. And what another part that really rings for me is that, especially in this day and age, especially with everything that's coming out about children that have been abused or put in situations, and maybe it's with people that they have known and trusted, because a lot of the times they speak about, these perpetrators, they don't just come up to strangers and are like, hey, let me see you, let me touch you. These are like someone that they have a relationship with. And so if we teach our children, the younger people in our lives, to be in connection with their bodies and their emotions and their feelings, they'll know if things feel right or not. And then they can have the power to stand up for themselves. But if they don't even know what their own parts are called, or they're not taught to be in relation with their body and to feel their emotions, if they're taught that, oh, what you're feeling isn't right, a kid tells you that something's hot and you're like, oh, it's not hot, just eat it, blow on it. I mean, I'm guilty of this. My niece and nephew told me that the toothpaste that we had was hot, like spicy hot. I'm like, it's not hot. But it is hot to them. Who am I to tell them what their body knows or what their body feels? I'm not living in that body. And so, yeah, that's a big part of it, is teaching the, I guess more, not even teaching, but empowering and nurturing and cultivating this relationship with everyone with their own bodies, so that they can hear their body and listen to their body and feel strong enough to stand up for themselves and their body, no matter what situation.
Amen. And actually, I received an email. I remember I shared this with you, but I want to share with our listeners. I'm on Mama Gena's email list, and she emailed this little short story about how when her daughter was younger with other school children, and I wanna say, like, 6 or 7 or 8, like, much younger, but from the beginning, Mama Gena had empowered her daughter to name her parts, to be in relation with her parts, to feel empowered about, her own body, and therefore, all the kids were on this playground, and some creepy dude had got them all in a circle off to the side, and apparently he was having them show him their bare feet, and something only Mama Gena's daughter was like, "This doesn't feel right." She, like, ran away, she told an adult, and Mama Gena in the email used this as, like, a treaties as like a imperative that we teach our daughters uh, to know that their body is their body and what their body is and that it doesn't belong to anyone else and how to name it and all the things. And I felt so impassioned by that email that I fired it off to a number of young mothers of girls who I know. And I was fascinated that only one wrote me back and thanked me for that email. And again, there could be a million reasons why someone doesn't reply, but there definitely was the word pussy in the beginning of the email too. Like, we got to, it was because it was like from adult to adult, the email, like, we women,
Right.
we have to be uh, comfortable with our bodies and like these are our pussies and blah, blah, blah. And when we tell our children, educate our children, we need to make sure they're empowered. Here's my story. So, anyway, that was interesting also to bump up against like other people who live in other realities. And that, I don't know. I mean, I believe so deeply in empowering my children and people empowering their children. But at the same time, again, the word, I do feel like what I love about it is that for me, the sexually active adult, it helps me create this beautiful intimacy with myself, with my own body. And it feels very personal and fun and playful. And I can use it, in conversation or not, like with a beloved or with a girlfriend. And it does feel very adult to me, though. It definitely feels like, 18 and older kind of, vibe.
Yeah. Well, I think about being sexually active, which it was like 17, 18 for me. I'd been in a relationship for almost 2 years with my high school sweetheart. And yeah, so I guess, and I can remember using the word or other things, using it in a derogatory way, from 16 and up. So, yeah, I guess it just depends on, the environment, the family, what kind of language is being used outside of the home, with friends, with each other, how deep the parents' relationship is with their children, how close are they, are they having these talks? I mean, I know that for my parents, they were not having talks. We were not having talks about sex.
What was that story that you told me about? Like you were at a baby shower and the subject came up?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's funny because you shared the story about the email. Uh, I've been deep in the journey in the Vita sex, love, and relationship coaching, and feeling just like this surge of empowerment and connection with my own body. And yeah, in the midst of that, I attended a baby shower where several names were being tossed around, and a lot of these women had younger children, or I was at a baby shower, so there were some babies about to be brought into the world. And I was just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. All right, let's get one thing straight. It's a vulva. Teach your children the right name for it. This is how they take. Some of them I knew, some of them I did not know. But it was like a stark quietness. And I was like, this is how the power is taken from us women. This is how they're disconnecting us from our bodies, is getting us to not even know what the correct name is. Teach your children the right name for their body parts. You teach them the right name for every other part. Empower them. This is the portal. This is our divine, sensual, sexual, feminine energy that is flowing through us. This is important. And it was so silent. And there was a part of me that immediately was almost shamed, like almost shaming myself for having that passion. And I quickly though like talked myself off the ledge, took a few breaths and was like, it's good. Like, you're not crazy. You're passionate, and this is a moment that will probably be remembered, in whatever way, and will be impactful. And hopefully I just put it out there, may this be an impactful conversation. May these women walk away with more curiosity, with more empowerment, with more sense of, yeah, like I am a woman and we are all women, and let's stand up for and empower each other. And yeah, and then I had some And I was going to say, and then I had some other lovely conversations that were not related to the word pussy. And those were really connecting as well. And overall, I left feeling happy and proud. Like, yes. It's kind of like feeling like a mama Gena, like sometimes it's uncomfortable to be the one that says the thing to make a difference. But I mean, standing up for what you believe and standing up for other people or things or ideas that you really believe in, I believe is so, so powerful and impactful. And it gives others permission to stand up for.
Our last episode, speaking truth to people or power. That's it, girl.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember when Esther was a probably 2 or 3 year old, she was in her preschool class at the Kabbalah elementary school, Kabbalah preschool. So Kabbalah Center, it is a spiritual organization. They used to have a school attached to it, and it was a religious Orthodox Jewish school, but they taught very mystical, spiritual teaching, and they had a lot of emotional intelligence type of support there. So we sent our older 3 kids there. I think by the time David came around, yeah, they were still open. We had him for a couple of years there in the preschool. But um, I think I was pregnant with David. So actually, she must have been, come to think of it, like 4. Yeah, which makes sense for preschool. Okay, so she was like 4 years old. I was pregnant. And of course, the question came, do the babies come from the belly button, which seems logical. And I said, no, they come from your vagina. Myself not really even knowing a better word for that at that point, but they do. They go through the vagina, right? The vaginal canal.
Yeah.
And I got a call later that day from her preschool teacher, not like giving it to me on the head about it, but she thought I might get some phone calls from other parents, which I didn't. But she said, your daughter, blurted out proudly and excitedly today to everybody in her class, babies come from vaginas, and the teacher was like, uh-oh, but again, that reaction, like, why the fuck with the reaction? And I could have had the same reaction as a teacher at her age. Like, I'm not judging her in a million years. I'm just saying it's like all of us are living in this culture where we're thinking, yeah, the world is flat. Then someone's like, no, it's round. There's some proof and we can prove it. And the rest of us are like, I'm pretty comfortable with this flat like feeling. Like, I don't know, the round thing, that feels weird to me. Like, how would that work? I don't understand gravity. And I feel like we're at that kind of, hopefully we're at a tipping point, but we're at that sort of weird, like the fence between the field of like cookies and, nunus and mimis and whatever other names moms and grandmas from over the ages, have wanted to quote unquote empower their daughter to, be able to say the word when they need to go tinkle, like just to kind of like infantilize everything just to get it out of your mouth in case it itches or hurts or, you have to refer to it versus like on the other side of this fence, this fully empowered, like, your vulva and your vaginal canal and the labia and just like it, like you said, the fingers and the fingernails and the hands, like, let's just call it like it is. I feel empowered by this.
There has been multiple people in my family who have witnessed our dog giving birth, you know, witnessed other animals having babies or, like going to the bathroom or, seeing like they're not wearing clothes. And so it's like, what is the shame that we've put around it, really, to kind of make it be the secret or like we don't talk about it? And then what does that lead to? Then you have no knowledge about it, but you're still curious about it. And you still have these primal instincts. So if you don't know, then I feel like that you're in definitely a worse situation. Yeah, I will kind of going back to what you had mentioned of my journey. It was not as comfortable in the beginning, but I definitely feel it now. Still, there's some situations, my 70-year-old in-laws, they're it's maybe a little uncomfortable to say it around them, but we're growing together.
But also, I feel like you and I are very sensitive people that we read a room. And I always, and I've said this before, I think I often admire people, but I also don't really relate to people who are just, there are those people who just, they have their point of view and they have the way they speak, and that's it. And that's what you're going to see on display at all times. And whereas I would say you're similar, and I mean, I'm very sensitive to, well, I guess it's that also kind of people pleasing vibe too. Like, I don't want to
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so in awe of those people because they're just their full authentic self all the time. There's not like, oh, here, let me put on a different shirt and chameleon in with these people.
Fair enough, yeah.
But we're all growing, aren't we? And there, but to what you were saying, there is a difference between being stark about it versus it's all tone too. The tone and the context of it. So you can say it and it doesn't have to be, you can just like you say elbow.
Well,
Oh yeah, my
I love listening to Mama Gena say it over and over because she's, by this point, it's like that's for her. I mean, that's her book, that's her world, that's what she teaches. She has the School of Womanly Arts for decades and decades in New York and empowering women left and right. And so she's kind of like a North Star for me when it comes to this subject.
Same. She is a woman of wise wisdom and
Well, we can put her for sure in the show notes, and also Layla Martin, who is the woman behind the Vita coaching method that Chelsea spoke about, that she is training right now to be an actual certified Vita method coach. So stay tuned for that deliciousness. Yeah, measure and awesomeness. Should we wrap up? Is there any last breads?
I like that feels good enough for today. Pretty sums it all up. And we would love to hear from you. How does the word feel in your body? Can you say it out loud? Can you look at yours and call it by its name? What is your relationship to your if you have one? We would love to hear all of this and how you received this and maybe what your first initial thoughts were. And if that continues to grow for you as well. And with that said, we will wrap up the way that we always like to, which is with a daily W. So I'm going to say that my win for today is that I cleaned out a bunch of stuff off my computer before we had this call. So I really feel like I've already jumped into some of the things that aren't desirable for me to do. So ate the frog, if you will. So I'm bragging about that. And my wow is that I'm really grateful for the freedom and flexibility and opportunities in my life. I feel very enriched. I feel very expansive and abundant. And it feels delicious. So I'm grateful for that feeling today.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I was thinking about wishing, and of course, there's so many day-to-day things I am wishing for, but then I thought about the subject that we're talking about, and wow, I feel that so deeply, the wish for us to use that metaphor, the fence, like that we as a culture can finally jump to the side, the fertile side of the truth of naming our bodies, empowering these next generations and our current generations, no matter how young or old we are. I wish that women around the globe can be empowered, and that we teach our new generations to be empowered, that, for example, something like the fucking Epstein nightmare could never happen because a woman would know that it's wrong. And in every circumstance where things are out of balance and then a woman gets taken advantage of, that opportunity is lessened to nearly zero because of the empowerment that we gift ourselves and our next generation. That is my wish.
Yes, it is so. It is done. It is done. Or something bigger, better, hotter, wetter. Yay. Well, thank you all for joining us and for joining our email list those of you that we've gained onto that. That's something new that we've started implementing, sending out a email newsletter with each episode that drops. So that's every other Wednesday, so twice a month. And yeah, growing the Brighter Bee community. So we would love to see you in there. We have lots of ideas and connections and community opportunities
people and to connect with you. Exactly. Yeah, we
in the works.
So
So
like, subscribe, go onto our website, brighterandbrighter.life. Check us out. Add your name, email to the non-spammy email list.
yes, be sure to add us to your contacts.
Yeah.
All right. Until next time, may your days be brighter. We love you.